boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
The inevitable response from Frank Warren. Frank Warren is furious with the accusations that Fabio Wardley knocked out Fraser Clark with some dodgy gloves defending his heavyweight British and Commonwealth titles on Saturday gone in Riyadh. Clark, 33, had immediate surgery to repair 3 breaks on the left side of his face, the jaw and cheekbone. Warren will be taking Shalom to the board for bringing the sport into disrepute with a libelous allegation and questioning the integrity of the board and everybody involved in the Riyadh show. Frank Warren's rebuttal was in reply to Shalom's comments on a YouTube channel named Sportsman Boxing, claiming there was a lot of talk during the week as to the gloves that were being worn by Fabio. The British Boxing Board of Controllers spoke to Sun Sports. There is no investigation. The gloves were approved. Frank Warren said Fraser was a gentleman all week and has praised Fabio's brilliant performance. The only person who has mentioned any suggestion of impropriety is Benjamin Shalom. Ben Shalom has tried to tarnish Fabio's win with such a dangerous suggestion. The British Boxing Board of Control checks and approves all gloves at the Friday meeting, which is filmed, and there were no issues raised. Another of Frank's heavyweights, the IBF heavyweight champion Daniel Dubois, knocked out Anthony Joshua in stunning fashion 21st of September. He too wears fly gloves, custom-made fly gloves, like Fabio Wardley. We didn't see Eddie Hearn up in the camera. We didn't see Anthony Joshua saying anything. Nobody from Matchroom has said anything. They've accepted the L. There's no talk of no investigation. But Ben, why is Ben crying? Ben Shalom claims Wardley's customized 10-ounce fly gloves are being investigated after the British Boxing Board of Control's medical chief, Neil Scott, likened Clark's injury to being hit with a brick.
Don't worry, on your head is harder than a brick.
Shalom said, a doctor told me there's no way in hell a boxing glove should be able to inflict that level of damage. It's an ongoing process, something we are looking at, to see how these customized gloves are different. We were warned repeatedly by Fraser's team about what gloves could be used. Now we're just going to deal with logic. There's no favoritism to Frank Warren, there's no favoritism to Ben Shalom, but here's where he's losing points and pissing off a lot of people, Ben Shalom. Were there concerns from Team Clark about the gloves beforehand? Yes, there was. When the gloves were being selected, we hear Fraser Clark saying this.
His gloves are very, very thin, let's say. I don't pad it.
But the facts are, as a promoter, you can't cry over spilt milk and then put Frank's fighter in a bad light when you did nothing with the information that Fabio was going to be wearing fly gloves. And here's the thing, man, like, big up at Tekken579 who commented on my original video about this. He said, to be F, Amir Khan refused to fight Kell Brook until he changed his fly gloves, and Kell did change them right before the fight, laughing out loud. And who was that fight promoted by? Ben Shalom. Amir Khan threatened to withdraw from that fight if the Grant's gloves were not used. Kell Brook was wearing fly gloves with a horsehair, just like Fabio, just like Daniel. Just like Khan was going to pull out, they could have pulled out Fraser Clark, but they decided to roll the dice.
No boxing glove should be able to cause the type of injury that Fraser suffered. That was a big talking point in the week for us, and not taking anything away from what Fabio did because it was superb. But the damage it caused, do want to look at those particular gloves and how they're customized.
Now, this is my personal pet peeve with this Ben Shalom guy. Either go in or stay the F out. But let's stop the passive-aggressive, not taking anything away from Fabio, when it's exactly what you're doing.
Let's talk about this gloves issue, because obviously you talked about the gloves that Fabio was wearing. Adam AZIM wears the same gloves as well.
I've praised Fabio. Nothing to do with why Fraser lost. It's nothing to do with why Fraser got knocked out.
How do you praise Fabio Wardley for knocking out your fighter and at the same time say the gloves need to be investigated, and your fighter is using the same gloves, Adam AZIM? Stop it now.
What's Ben Shalom on about? Has he got a point?
No, he hasn't.
And who's advising Ben? Like, Sky have been doing boxing since 1989-90. There's a lot of stuff Ben has overlooked. The gloves are inspected at the rules meeting. There's an official there who keeps the gloves until the fighters are in their changing room, where there is a British Boxing Board of Control inspector ever present until they get in the ring. The gloves are checked and signed off. The fighters' hands are wrapped. The inspector signs off the hand wraps. The lace part of the gloves are taped up. That's signed off. The referee checks the gloves when they're in the ring. The boxer cannot have gloves that he's going to use in a fight in his possession before the fight. The gloves must be sent from the manufacturer to the promoter in a sealed package. Team Fraser Clark voiced their disapproval at the rules meeting about the fly gloves. Robert Smith overruled because the gloves are and were approved by the board. Ben Shalom, according to Frank Warren, didn't even attend the rules meeting. Frank says what Ben Shalom is saying is libelous. He could have legal issues not only with Frank Warren but with fly gloves, with the British Boxing Board of Control and Fabio Wardley. Ben's talking about an investigation needs to happen when he doesn't even have the gloves. So any suspicions that he's voicing are unfounded because he doesn't have the gloves. He hasn't touched the gloves. Any suspicions Ben Shalom has is based on hearsay. Was Fabio wearing fly gloves in their first fight? And if he was, why didn't anyone complain? I guess because Frazier didn't get knocked the F out. Fabio responded when FTTV Boxing asked, did Wardley gain an unfair advantage in his fight against Clark? Boxing promoter accuses of foul play in Clark fight. Read full story. Fabio replies, no, he did not. And that is Fabio, the real Fabio. And a lot of people came in to support Fabio. I find it disrespectful for any promoter to be insinuating cheating when their fighter loses, and worse, blaming it on the tools of the trade for boxing. The apologies must be loud. Someone else says they've always got an excuse. Next, his own boxer using the same brand of gloves this weekend. Ben Shalom is the biggest joke in boxing. Well done, Fabio. Superb performance. Stuart, he says, haters gonna hate Fab. Some people always look for an angle to discredit someone. What a performance. Next, Ben Shalom is a proper bellend, type of guy who moans at his mum for not having smooth mashed potato. Someone else says, for F's sakes, can't people just accept that the punch was quite sensational? Next, it was coming from the first fight, especially taking that nose break from early on. Well done, Fab. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. So, the 12th of October was not only a bad night for Ben's losing boxers, but the PR for himself as a promoter, abysmal. He's miserable. He doesn't fit in. He doesn't fit in with Eddie and Frank. Hate it or love it, they're the top boys. Frank Warren alluded to a dinner at Riyadh season where they were discussing business and future fights. And Ben didn't turn up. But Ben will sit there and say he's been shut out. And look, behind closed doors, it could be a different story. He just doesn't appear to be a likable guy. And a lot of people are saying we don't want him back at Riyadh season. That's what's being said. Does a lot of whinging and he's sneaky. Fabio Wardley enters the Ring Magazine rankings at number 9. He told BBC Southwark Radio that his dream fight would be at Ipswich Town's Portman Road, and it's still on the cards following some big wins. Portman Road has a capacity of 29,673. It's doable, depending on what opponent is in the opposite corner. Fabio was calling for that Wilder fight, which he said would be the battle of the bombs, and he fancies that he can get his bomb off quicker than Wilder can. But, you know, Wilder's lost 4 out of his last 5. You know, Kevin Lorena wanted to defend his WBC Bridgerweight title, so did Lawrence Okoli against Wilder. Why they're all chasing the Deontay Wilder fight when there's more than acceptable heavyweight contenders for them to face, I'll never know.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
You tweeted a video of your father speaking very eloquently, and that is the best way to describe any time your father speaks. That gave me perhaps hope that perhaps if you do fight Conor Benn, that he will be involved.
I would love for him to be involved. The fact that I even have to say that is insane. How is that even a thing? His son is going to fight the son of his arch nemesis all those years ago when he was a world champion. How is it a thing that he may not be there? But we don't talk. He has shown no interest in my career for a long period of time now. He's shown no interest in me. There's no real conversation there. It's sad, but I'm my own man and I've got massive things in my path that I have to succeed in. So I can't let anything like that affect me spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I have to be strong. I have to be focused. Once my career is done, then I can try and spend time worrying about other people's feelings. For a long time, I tried to act like it was cool, and people would ask, how's your dad? Like, yeah, we're good, but I got sick of that shit, man. We're not cool. We're not okay. And people need to know.
Sad story, I guess. But families are constructed, for the most part, that parents will outlive their kids. But that hasn't happened for Chris Sr. or his ex-wife, Karen. Sebastian passed away, 29 years of age, 4 years ago. It took a devastating toll on the family. Bereavement I ain't even going to try and explain it. One of the worst phases you can go through. When Chris, no matter if he was not in his right state of mind or not, went on Talk Sport and called his son a charlatan with that idiot, I don't think it done the trust bond between them any good. I really don't. Junior removed Senior from the camp, and I think we all knew that it wasn't all good. But Chris feels the need to let it out. He's got a lot of hurt. Probably hasn't fully got over Sebastian's passing, and he's got a lot of hurt. He's got a whole lot of hurt. I'm not going to try and come up with no corny platitudes like I hope you can both heal together. It would be nice, but, you know, healing for both of them will probably be on separate journeys. And that's what's most important. If the son and dad bond rekindles itself, great. We had another boxer fighter just the other week, Caroline Dubois, letting it all hang out with her relationship and her dad. And Daniel as well. They don't talk. Chris Sr. is the parent though, and if he does get back in his son's life, let's hope it doesn't inhibit Junior from what he's trying to achieve, bring his confidence down. Because let's face it, Chris had his time. He did his thing. He's doing tours with Nigel Benn. They still will call his name. Let your son finish out this chapter. If you're not going to be there, don't be there. But if you're going to be there, hold your son down. It's not like Chris has to live with him. You just got to hold him down for this phase of his career.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
He'd won every round up to that point. He was tired.
Do you think Ben had won every round?
Yeah, he was tired. He was getting hit when we don't usually see him getting hit. But he still won every round.
Ben Whittaker won every round against Liam Cameron. And he said it with a straight face. On these media days, like guys like Johnny Nelson, Eddie Hearn, Frank, and whoever else is a personality are having that mic shoved in their face so much that they end up just talking rubbish. The quality of content you get from these guys, it will decrease. Because they're mentally burnt out, answering the same question. And I'm not going to say too much on it because it's ridiculous what he's saying. If anyone in the media is watching this video, would you do me a favor? If you see Johnny Nelson, ask him, does he really believe that Ben Whittaker won all 5 completed rounds? Does he really believe this? Does he not understand how biased it sounds that he's a Sky pundit and Ben Whittaker is a Sky fighter? Or doesn't he care? Just doesn't care anymore at this point. He's accepted the terms that if he trolls, perhaps more people will click into the video. That's sad. Now I'm trying to work out how I take him serious anymore. I need a complete detraction from what he said, or I can't take him serious anymore.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
The IBF have officially ordered Artur Beterbiev to defend his WBA, IBF, WBO, WBC belts against Michael Eifert. Yeah, they've ordered him to fight. It's mandatory. And Beterbiev, what's he going to do? Because BIVOL is going to make that protest to all 4 sanctioning bodies. I guess why they're making a protest is to try and stop the mandatory going through. I don't think BIVOL should worry about winning all the 4 belts. He should be trying to get the W, get the fight. Forget the belt, man. It's all about lineage. You don't need all 4 belts. It's lineage. Lineage is what you need, my friend.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
DAZN have picked up the Cuban William Skull, who fights for the vacant IBF 168-pound title against Vladimir Shishkin. But this will be in Berlin, Germany. Eastern time, 3 p.m. I still got to work that out to what that is in the UK. I think that's an hour ahead of the UK. So let's say 2 p.m. UK. So what is that, afternoon boxing, or is that when the card starts from the prelims? In fact, it's just outside Berlin. Stadthalle Falkansee, or Falkansee, depending on pronunciation. Hey, that's free world title boxing, man. I'll be watching it. Skull, he's a Cuban, so he's definitely going to bring that sexy boxing. Yeah, right. 22-0, 9 inside the distance, 32 years of age. Shishkin, 33 years of age, 16-0, no draws, no losses, 10 inside the distance. The names I recognize, he's beat Uskatagi, saying that Abeko is supposedly a good win. Never heard of him. Skull, Evgeny Zhavenko. I don't really know these guys like that.
I don't know none of these boys, man.
Skull has performed mainly in Argentina and then later on in Germany. Shishkin mainly in Russia, but since 2019 he's fought exclusively in the States. Will any of you be tuning in if you got DAZN, or you give it a miss? Find better things to do with your time, unlike me.
Boxing beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
KIERON Conway, hopefully on November 30th, we're just waiting for Brad Pauls to confirm we will challenge for that British title, and that will be added to the Birmingham card.
On the undercard of Sonny Edwards versus YAFAI. The 160 British champion, Brad Paul, took Nathan Heaney out in the 12th round in July this year, after coming up short in their first fight in March. Conway only 6 knockouts and 21 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. Actually, the last 2 he's won inside the distance. And these two are honest, hardworking, physically fit, strong professionals. It's going to be a good addition to the card. Brad Pauls, he's the bigger puncher, but they're both durable lads who always give it 100%. I can't envisage it not being an entertaining fight. I can't entertain that. Toe-to-toe action. A good addition to the card, I'd say.